Okay. Hello. I'm going to start. I want to say welcome to our virtual audience as well. We're all on the Zoom, and I'm really excited to welcome the director and participant, Kelsey Peterson, here today. And have our wonderful moderator, Yesenia Torres, here.
Quad life.
Would you like a mic stand for it?
Let me see if I could hold it. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Hello. No, I think I could do it. If Kelsey could do it, I could do it also.
We're gonna try. Anyway.
Yes. Okay, so I don't even know how to start with that ending. My God, it was so emotional. I identify with you, obviously, in many, many ways. But that ending with your mom, oh, that killed it.
It gets me still every time.
Now, let me start. Let's just keep the feeling rolling. What motivated you to bring your life into the big screen?
Yeah. Oh man. I had no intention of being a filmmaker. This was not my plan in life. And I actually started out doing this project to find out what was happening in terms of a cure for spinal cord injury. I was really curious, and I know the SCI community was really curious. And so, sorry, I clearly just got done crying after watching that. But I went around the country interviewing people in the spinal cord injury community and the research community to kind of get a grasp of what was happening in terms of the effort for functional recovery for those of us with SCI. And after filming, we realized that story wasn't there. And that was, the new filmmaker dilemma. But we leaned into it and pivoted to me and my story and what was happening in my life at that time, which was kind of a lot. I mean, my dad had just gotten sick and we were figuring out what was happening with him. And Gabriel approached me about doing a cripples dance, and Dr. Darrow had came into my sphere in terms of the possibility of me participating in the clinical trial. So all of these things were happening at once, and it was crazy, but also kind of divine timing. And so we just did what you have to do, I think, as a filmmaker, and we leaned into the story that wanted to be told. And it was a very vulnerable place for me, but I'm really glad that I did it.
And it was very courageous.
Thank you.
Because it was too much. Like many people would have just stopped and not continue, but you did it all the way through.
Right, because it's scary. You're kind of like a deer in headlights, like, oh, crap, what do I do now? Like, did I just screw this up completely, or do I have another option? And luckily we did.
It was so awesome that you had the opportunity to have your dad and obviously your mom in the whole story, because it gives it more strength. It's reality, it's right there. And you took it and you went with it, and I'm very happy that you did.
Thank you.
Very, very happy.
Thank you.
Let's go to the technical part.
Yeah.
How did you put together this crew?
Oh man. I feel like, so I met my co-director, Daniel Klein, through one of our shooters, actually. And we just developed a friendship. And when I needed a co-director, he just kind of organically stepped up into place with me. And I really needed him more than I knew I did, and he had a lot more experience than me, and he's done amazing work. And is just such an awesome artist and human. And that partnership really made it possible for me to tell my story and to kind of let go of a lot of fear and worry about what I was doing and how I was doing it, because I could rely on him. And he was able to assemble more of our team and kind of like step up our game. You know, like I had no idea what I was doing when I started this. I was like making so many mistakes and needed help. And that was just the moment that I think a lot of things really shifted, and we've assembled an amazing team and found our editor, who I have to give so much credit to. She's amazing, Nico Bovat, / Frank. She got married. But yeah, we became really good friends, and I got so lucky assembling a team that was so supportive and so artistic and creative and sensitive to what I was going through, you know, because that was in and of itself like its own beast, you know, like I'm grieving and going through this whole dilemma while I'm the subject and co-director. So it really required a group of great people. So I feel really lucky in that way, you know.
Did at any point did you think about stopping when
No, I don't really have that in me, I've realized, which I think is a good thing. No, stopping wasn't really an option, but it was definitely overwhelming at times, you know. I think it broke me open in a really good way, being that vulnerable, because it allowed healing for me that I didn't know I needed. You know, I've really, oh man. I knew I was going to get emotional on this.
It's okay. It's part of healing.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's so real.
I didn't think it was possible to love myself the way that I've come to as a woman with a disability. And that was really scary for me for the first few years. Was, am I ever going to feel like myself again? You know? And through this process, I've begun to like really investigate who I am and to love being a woman with a disability and the beautiful things that come with that, and the things that I've learned from that, and the things I can teach people from that, the things I continue to learn, is a gift, you know. And it's hard as hell sometimes, don't get me wrong, and I still, you know, miss things, but oh, thank you. Oh wait, I'm falling apart. Thank you. But I realized that when you really go to that vulnerable place and you're able to be real, when you're able to give people the real, you change and they change, you know, and that's completely invaluable for me. Anyway.
Since you're a dancer, you continue to be a dancer. What was that part like? Because in the screen, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow, I had never seen dancing on the mat like that.
Oh,
I
it
have
was
friends
so
that they,
fun.
you know, they dance and they wiggle in their wheelchairs, but what you did, I haven't seen.
I haven't either. I mean, I don't think I was the first one to do it, and I hope I won't be the last, but investigating that, getting out of the chair and dancing was amazing. Dancing in general, post-injury, and finally coming back to the dance floor was completely life-changing. It was like I was lit on fire again, you know, and it was like spring. It was like blooming. And that part was just, you know, the frosting. It was amazing.
Excellent. And it came out beautiful.
Thank you. It's so fun.
The movements as a dancer when you were walking, and now as a dancer sitting, how does that feel?
Say that again, sorry.
When, as a dancer, when you're walking, and now as a dancer when you're sitting, how does that feel?
it feels amazing. I love it. I still love dance. And I love that you're constantly, as a dancer or an artist, you're constantly trying to work within limitations, and they're always different. And I think that and I can't remember where I heard this, my co-director brought it up too, but it's like when you're given limitations, it's almost like you have this freedom because you start to play with those limitations and abstract them. And it gives you like this, it's almost like it gives you a little bit of freedom and liberty within that, and like the exploration just becomes more interesting. It's challenging and it has its moments where you're just like, but it also has these really beautiful moments of like, oh, I can do something in a way that no one else can do it, and that's the good stuff. That's really fun.
What were like the difficult moments through production
Oh man.
or obstacles that you came about, through?
So many. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think of the difficult moments. I mean, figuring out what was going on with my dad was awful and scary. And that was probably, I think that was probably the hardest for me, to be honest, because that was like a new form of grief that I'd never experienced before. And I was seeing the parallels of that grief with the depth of my own grief from my injury. And that was really like mind effing. Trying, I realized how much I use the F word. I mean, I kind of always knew it, to be honest, but when you see it in subtitles on a screen like 20 times,
You feel guilty.
I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, that was the hardest part, I think.
And through production, just doing production, like filming and timing and all of that. How was that scheduled?
We all worked together to figure out, when we were going to film and how we were going to do it. And it's, I mean, with the dance especially, it was challenging because we filmed the show and then realized that you as an audience for the film weren't going to have that experience that the people in the audience for the actual dance show were having. And so we were trying to figure out how we were going to deliver that. And so we actually went back and performed it without an audience so that we could get a camera going around us and get angles that we wouldn't be able to be on stage.
Yes.
Interrupting an audience. And so we got I think some really great footage behind the scenes and the rehearsal stuff I love, but we really wanted to be able to capture that feeling that you were there. And so I'm glad that we did that and went back and got that last duet the way that we did. Yeah. So I think there were moments where those are the moments where it's so great to feel like you have a team you can communicate really well with. And it's not about anyone's ego, or it's about making the film the best you possibly can. And I love that. Like, I love that collaboration, whether it's with film or with dance or whatever it is, you're all problem solving together. And it's fun and you're learning a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take from the beginning of the concept till the end?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Half of the time that I've had a disability.
Okay.
To put that in perspective.
Wow.
A little bit. Yeah.
What is your message with this film?
Holy moly. That's a big question. I think there are a lot of messages within the film. I think sort of like on the bigger level. I want this film to tell people that life is, we're always changing, and I think we forget how adaptable we are, and we cling on to these self-defining things. And I hope that people see that there is beauty in the surrender to the flow. and it's really hard to let go. I think as like humans, there's like this very deep fear of letting go and going into the new, and that's natural. But I think it's also become like this, like it's like a cultural thing or like a societal thing for us to be like, no, like I have to hang on to this, and like these things that are so like that define us can confine us, and that's really really challenging. And so I hope that people can see like that don't underestimate yourself, like lean into it and and see what happens when you can adapt and go with the flow, so to speak, which I think has become like this term that's like, oh, go with the flow. It's like, no, going with the flow is really hard, actually. And I hope that people see disability differently, I hope that people with disability different disabilities feel seen. I wanted to share a lot of things about my life that were scary, like sex and, well, basically that was the bigs, and like pooping, sex and pooping. We were going to call it that. Because like, I don't want to not share things because they're scary when like they're, I think, disrupting a really harmful narrative when you put that out there. And that's important to me. Like we are, as people with disabilities, are often desexualized, and that's just not fair, or it's dehumanizing. Like sexuality is a human right. And so when you do that, you dehumanize us, and I didn't want that to be withheld as a woman and as a woman with a disability. So I hope that it shifts a narrative. I hope it creates more empathy, and I hope people who've gone through what we've gone through, as people with spinal cord injuries, see some hope and see themselves in me in terms of change and acceptance and self-love and hope and all that jazz.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Now I want to open it up to the public, please.
A question over here.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. I just wanted to say,
Or wait, who has the mic?
I have it.
You
I'm
the
sorry.
mic.
Oh, does somebody
You
have
have
a
to
mic
figure
too? Oh, hi. It's okay. I lost my father too in 2020, and I lost my father to cancer as well. And so this was ordained for me. This is the first film festival I went through. I'm in a state of depression, and I finally am pushing through. And I'm so grateful that you push through in light of everything that you're facing. I think for humanity, whoever got an opportunity to watch your film, we can learn to be grateful for the littlest things that we take for granted. And I also wanted to say more so that anyone with a disability should more than be seen, but should be seen as embody of strength. So when people look at you, we feel strength because you're still persevering, keeping on in light of everything. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Someone else? Okay. Yeah.
Did you have any difficulty getting funding for the film?
That's a really good question. I didn't. I'm lucky, I think, in that way, and privileged. I did a couple Kickstarters. I should say my team did, and they went really well. And to be totally transparent, like I have a connection to a big community, that I'm connected to. And some of that are people with money. And so that's a privilege that I was really lucky to have. And then the biggest thing for us was we got funding from ITVS. And that changed everything because they gave us enough money to finish the film and distribution. And that relationship has been amazing. And we also had a supervising producer there, Michael Ahrensweig, who helped us throughout the whole process of post-production. So we got really lucky to get what we needed to make the film that we wanted to make.
In my world, it was meant to be. It was
Thank
meant to, for all of us to experience and
Thank you.
and watch.
Thanks. I think so too.
You have another?
Hi,
Hi.
that was so beautiful and raw and strong, and just so glad to be here and watching you just take off.
Thanks.
But I also noticed there was so much humor and levity throughout the film. Do you have any fun production stories? There's always something funny going on behind the scenes. So curious.
Oh man, I wish Daniel were here right now because he would probably have so many to say about me and my inappropriateness. Fun production stories. Yeah, so there are some scenes where I have to be somewhat nude, if not fully. And so like sometimes we hired a female shooter, which was like, okay, I feel a lot more comfortable. You have a badge, I have a badge, it's cool. But then I would have one of the guys there and I would literally have to be like, okay, time to go now. Like the boobies are coming out. And they would just be like, okay, they're like, like very professional. And I'd try to like make light of it and they would just be like, oh, okay. Like just so like respectful and professional. I was like, cool, it's everybody calm down. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, other than that, I can't think of like a specific super funny story. The whole thing was just really fun. And I felt like I was able to like be myself, which hopefully somebody down here was laughing a lot, which made me feel good. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things is my dad zipping the zipper because it's just so quintessentially my dad to just mess that up. Like, Jen, I'm just like, oh my God, I love you so much. But yeah, thank you for asking that.
I think we'll have one more question from the audience.
Oh, I think there's a lot more than one question. I'll make mine really quick. You're great, lovely, very funny.
Thank
Your
you.
language is really cool. Is it possible for your friend Gabriel to put that last song on Spotify? It was really, really good.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure he would love to if it's not all. I don't think it is on Spotify actually. Are you a fan? Are you following him already? I love that.
She will.
Everyone has a crush on Gabriel. He's Freak on Spotify, by the way, FREAQUE, and he's amazing. And I will definitely put in a good word for you because it is so good. We recorded that. He wrote that song for the film, which was incredible. And I got to be in the recording studio with him and his brother, Charlie, who sings harmony with him. And then I got to sing one tiny little part too, which was cool. So I'm glad you liked it.
We can't forget the cutting of the hairs from the nose.
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Oh my God. Those two.
That was too much.
It's never a dull moment with that family, especially Matthew. He's always bringing the humor and the real and the Yoda-ness, like his line during the dance scene where he's like gives the Wendell Berry quote is actually what is just so beautiful and gets me every time. But that fence that he saw with the Wendell Berry quote, the impeded stream is the one that sings, which I love so much, is actually my co-director's fence. And he lives like 3 blocks from him and he didn't know that. And so that was a really cool moment, actually, when Daniel was like, what? Small world.
Do we have time for one more?
Yes.
There's one more question.
There's so much going on in my head that I want to say. The very last point, though, there was such deepness, but without fussiness. It was just this, the tone of the film was, it was so approachable, but it just wowed me, the intelligence and the underlying messaging without bravado. And it's just, wow, how did you do that? And, you know, I mean, it made me really proud of you too, because I like that juxtaposed, I kind of seek that in life, you know, like intelligence without being fussy, and it's
Right.
very hard to find. And I just think you really, that whole film, it was about that.
Thank you so much. I think this partnership with Daniel Klein really lent to that. He has this like really to like this tenderness and also this like intelligence to him when it comes to the way that he makes film, the way that he makes his art. And I'm very like outward, but also very like, I think the way that I dance and the way I tell a story and like to flow, I think they really complemented each other in that way. And I have to give him so much credit for that, because there were just so many moments of like stillness that came from his style and of telling a story in a way that I think were so like just like beautifully, they gave you the time to like absorb something, yeah, in a way that was like silent but said so much. And I love that. So I love that you noticed that. And I think our editor did such a beautiful job of capturing those moments and putting them in places in the right way that just like amplified in a really graceful way. And I love to hear that. So thank you.
So for our last question, will we see more, Kelsey?
I hope so.
Way
Yeah.
good. I'm a fan now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm working on a scripted series right now. So with Gabriel. So we're writing it together. So we'll see what happens. Wish us
Okay, we'll
luck.
be expecting it too. then.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you,
really happy to
Kelsey.
be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
Yesenia and
so much.
Kelsey, thank you so much for being here and for bringing your beautiful movie. I hope that all of you will join us tomorrow night for closing night film Imperfect. And have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.